All right, everybody, it's happened. The news has officially broken just a few minutes ago. We finally got word that the deal that a lot of us wanted to go down, the signing that a lot of us wanted to make, the kind of capper that a lot of people wanted to this offseason, it has gone down. Per Adam Schefter, per Quandre Diggs as well, per other sources, enough for me to feel very comfortable about this being official. Former Seahawks linebacker Bobby Wagner is returning to Seattle on a 1 year, $7 million deal. Bobby Wagner is coming back to Seattle. This is the move that a lot of people wanted to make. This is the move that a lot of people felt like needed to happen. And now you can rest assured knowing that at the very least we're going to have, how should I put this, viable linebacker depth on this team. Not good linebacker depth yet. We can get there, but right now you can call it viable. Like, we actually have a playable group of linebackers on this team now with Bobby Wagner being added. So, he's back. I think a lot of us are really excited about that just because it's cool. But beyond just being cool, this obviously makes us a lot better. Now, Bobby Wagner, you look at what he did in 2022 for the Rams. Not a good team. Not a good team he played on. Not a good defense he was part of. But we are talking about a good season. He played in every game, had a couple of interceptions, made a couple plays in coverage, but for the most part, he was a tackle farmer, had 140 tackles, 10 for loss, which is more than he's had since 2017. He had 6 sacks, which was actually a career high. He made All-Pro Team 2. He was really good. So we are getting a really good player here. PFF backs this up as well. They loved his season. They thought he played extraordinary in pretty much all 3 facets of the game. So 91 overall grade from PFF doesn't lie. So, hey, be excited, be happy, be intrigued, be hopeful that this works out. Be all those things. Of course, now comes the test. Now comes the test for this Seahawks coaching staff. How are we going to use him? Are we going to use him the way the Rams used him? Are we going to have an understanding that, hey, Bobby Wagner excels in certain areas? He showed that with the Rams last year when they used him as a blitzer and he had tremendous success. Are we going to understand that, hey, I know that Bobby was here for a long time and he played more straight up middle linebacker, but this is an area where we need to unleash him a little bit. He shouldn't just be somebody who tackle farms. He is somebody who should be sent on the blitz. He's somebody who should be allowed to chase quarterbacks. Can we do that? Can we understand that at his age, he's not going to be able to hold up in coverage if you have him drop back over and over and over again, the way that we would do sometimes in previous years with Wagner here in Seattle? Are we going to understand that if Bobby Wagner is going to be playing his best football, we're going to need to give him a good defensive line? We're going to need to improve our defensive line. We're going to need to add on to it in the draft. I don't think there's really any free agency money left. More on that in a second. But are we going to have an understanding of the fact that we're going to need to drastically improve what we are sitting on with our defensive line if Bobby's going to play his best football? Can we understand we need to get the blockers off of him? We can't let offensive linemen get out to him too easily. Of course, I understand that last year the Rams, they had a ton of injuries to their defensive line. They lost Aaron Donald for a chunk of the year. I think they lost Ashawn Robinson for a good chunk of the year as well, and Bobby still had success. But even through that, they had a guy like a Greg Gaines in the middle taking up attention, being a nose tackle. We currently don't really have a nose tackle. Are we going to do something about that? If we don't do those things, I don't think this is going to end terribly well. I don't think this is going to end terribly well if we don't understand what Bobby is right now and how to best unleash him. So, hopefully, we have a good grasp of that. Hopefully, we have a good understanding of that. And, look, I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. Don't get that twisted. Absolutely, I'm excited. I think every Seahawks fan should be excited just for the Bobby factor. There is that element at play here. But there's another level to this. The other level to it is, can we now take what this signing is on an excitement level and parlay that into actual on-field results? In order for that to happen, You're going to need to do things the right way here. Bobby can't do all the things that he used to be able to do. When he was younger, I remember I think it was like his first or second or third year in the league, he's covering Randall Cobb 40 yards down the field in coverage, keeping up with him step for step, breaking up a pass 40 yards down the field. He's not doing that now. What he can do now is he's one of the best blitzing inside linebackers in the league. He's a very smart player. He's a very instinctual player. And he has a lot to teach younger players, like maybe Jordan Brooks, but also maybe Rookie X. So understand where Bobby is going to provide this value and allow him to provide the value in those areas. I think this can work. I really do. But it's going to take the proper application of a Bobby Wagner. But hey, right now the news is all good. I have to believe this coaching staff is smart enough to look at what the Rams did with him last year and understand that, hey, let's try to replicate that. So, with this signing, if you jump on over to the positional need chart that I have, I do think linebacker does get bumped down. I think that we take it off of the high need and we move it down to the medium need. I say medium because Jordan Brooks still probably not going to be healthy for week 1. Devin Bush, we have no idea what we're going to get out of this guy right now. If you have a ton of confidence in him, you're probably fooling yourself a little bit. But I do think that it's reasonable to say he'll at least be an adequate player for at least part of the season while Brooks tries to get back. And then behind them, you don't have a lot. But at the very least, at the top, you're okay now. At the top of your depth chart, you're okay. It's kind of like we are at wide receiver. We've got a really good 1 and 2, and then after the 1 and 2, it drops off a cliff. But at least at the top, we are okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and throw him onto the depth chart. He supplants Jordan Brooks just because Jordan Brooks is injured. So Wagner goes here, and then you put Brooks there, and then you probably put V. Jones back here, and then you put Onujiogu here. Something like that. So let's go with green. Let's put Onujiogu in red. And I believe that actually pretty much takes care of business because that actually gets us up to the 53. So welcome back, Bobby. The interesting thing here is it's 1 year, $7 million, which means presumably all $7 million of those dollars are going to be on the cap in 2023. Meaning that the current cap space that I estimate we have, which was as of yesterday's video about $8.2 million, is basically all gone. We can release a few players to make up the difference here, but you're still only going to be creating about $3 to $4 million in cap space, which will immediately get wiped out in the draft, and we won't even come close to making up for it with cuts. So how are we going to make ends meet here, adding another $7 million cap hit to this team? How are we going to make it work knowing that there's another $7 million coming off of our cap going to Bobby? There are many ways you can do it. Restructure Lockett, extend Nwosu, cut Monet if you can, trade Noah Fant, and of course, the mythical, legendary, apocryphal release of Jamal Adams. All options. But you're going to have to do something now for sure. You're going to need to do multiple somethings. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Got more draft tape to grind. Got more draft content to push out here. But Bobby Wagner is back. Be excited today and be hopeful that it works out tomorrow. That's what I'm going to say about it. Welcome back, Bobby.